And now for something different. Released in 1994 for the Super Famicom from Bandai, it's I'm not even going to bother. Okay, help me out here.
美少女戦士セーラームーンエース、今度はパズルでお仕置きよ。
And that roughly translates to this time it's puzzle punishment, but I usually just refer to this as the Sailor Moon-esque puzzle game since it's the only one I forgot anyway, only to find out that there's another Sailor Moon-esque puzzle game on the Super Famicom and yeah, no thanks. Let me just get through this one that's entirely written in kanji, and I can't read kanji worth a damn, and my grasp of the Japanese language lies somewhere between fuck and all. Fortunately, learning an international language is not required because this is a tile-based puzzle game where your main goal is to clear your board of tiles. This is accomplished by clicking on batches of same-colored tiles to make them disappear from the board, and you do this until the board is cleared entirely or until you lose, which depends on the mode you're playing. There's three main modes of play. A single-player mode where you're given a limited amount of time to clear the board, and if you clear the board you move on to the next puzzle, level, whatever you want to call it, which adds a couple gimmicks to make things a little more difficult, such as block-deflecting umbrellas, indestructible boulders, and other such things. And then there's the versus mode, which is considered to be the main mode of the game, and this can be played against a second player or against the computer, where you pick a character out of a roster of 10 and you face off against other computer opponents in matches. Versus mode is pretty straightforward. Whoever clears the board first wins, and whoever wins the set number of rounds first wins the match. An additional feature with this versus mode is that you have a power meter that you charge as you clear tiles, and as you're charging this meter, you'll be able to perform special abilities at various levels to alter the course of the game. Abilities depend on the character, and these usually have different effects depending on the ability, the level, and the character, and all that jazz. Occasionally, there will also be special tiles that will help you clear the board a little bit, such as magic missiles that will help remove columns and rows in a certain direction, as well as special hearts that will let you pick a color to clear from the board, among other helpful tools. You can use the standard controller to play, which works fine, but the game also supports the SNES or Super Famicom mouse peripheral. That gives the game a bit more playability over the stock gamepad, though really you could go either way. The game is fairly simple to learn the mechanics, but as is the case with these things, can be difficult to conquer and or master, especially as you near the end of a round, and you're left with a minute amount of tiles with different colors, which brings out more of a waiting game for the right tiles or perhaps something extra to help you clear those last tiles. The game boasts a rather clean looking layout. The wells have unique backgrounds depending on the character hosting them, and the little characters are relatively simplistic but animate well enough when it comes to imitating their special attacks and poses. The game does feature a grid which is helpful in lining up tiles. All in all, not a bad looking game, everything is as it should be. Sound is also pretty decent. A couple decent, somewhat highly energetic tunes by puzzle game standards that comprises the game's rather smallish soundtrack, and they're decent listens. Not sure if any of the tunes are from the show, but whatever, it's fine. There's also some voice bites to be found here. Somewhat brief and not quite the clearest quality voice bites, but hey, it's something I suppose.
美少女戦士セーラームーンエース、今度はパズルでお仕置きよ。
Like most Sailor Moon games around this time, never left Japan. But in this case it really doesn't matter because there's already a game like this on the Super Nintendo that you could get and play for relatively cheap. It's called Breakthrough, plays pretty much the same way, minus the Sailor Moon window dressing, which adds a couple bits and bobs here and there, but that's about it. Still, this is a fun little puzzle game, always a nice time while also somewhat challenging. Not bad. Not bad at all. You like puzzle games, this is one to add to the list, I suppose. That's all I got.